If you'd like better results, you need to master your communication skills. And today we have an expert. Her name is Harriet Bratt, and she's a world-class speaker trainer and firewalking expert. And she'll tell us about how you too can master communication skills so you can make the most of what you have and attract more business. So Harriet, please tell us, how can we master our communication skills?
Hey, Lily, jumping straight in. And of course, wonderful to be with your community. I think, first of all, before we think of external communication, whether that be in your day-to-day life, with friends, with work colleagues, with teams, or public speaking, speaking from live or virtual stages, I think first and foremost, it really starts with your self-talk, right? Your internal dialogue. How are you communicating with yourself? As you know, Lily, absolutely everybody at some point has had a fear of public speaking in various different degrees, but everybody has felt this, and so many of us can connect and relate to it. And one of the key ways in supporting you to become a confident speaker, to want to, I would say not necessarily even want actually, but to be willing to try, to be willing to get on stage, to be willing to speak up in meetings, to be willing to ask people for an investment or for a payment, etc., i.e. being willing to speak up. It starts from inside. Instead of I don't know if I can do that. What if I make a mistake? What will people think of me? And don't get me wrong, that's very natural, very normal. But instead of running that story, instead of keeping that dialogue, being able to take a deep breath, calm your mind, and then choose your story, choose your statement. And for some people, that might be a direct flip. I am a strong, confident, and powerful communicator. I have excellent communication skills. I am able to speak up in any environment and impact any audience. But for other people, perhaps if you're still in a real stage of fear right now, it might just be, I'm willing to try. I'm improving my speaker skills. I'm getting better. I'm practicing. I'm becoming a better communicator, etc., etc. So I think number one is really starting to master your internal talk, your self-talk. Number two, and I'll give 3 tips to kick in and start off with, but number 2 of 3 communication skills tip. Number 2, allowing yourself time to think. As I just did, I think for so many people, and absolutely me at the beginning of my journey, you feel like you just need to keep speaking. And some of it's fear, some of it's anxiety, and some of it's just this need to keep on talking and not have any silence and just keep on letting all of these words come out of your mouth without even stopping to take a breath. And I absolutely did this so many times, and I can laugh at it because even now I still notice myself at times going into that speedy, needing to just talk and let everything out. But actually, by taking that breath, it gives you time to think. But even more than that, it gives time for your message to land with your audience. When you pause, they think, they apply, they connect with your message. So bring pauses into your presentation. Don't feel that you just need to keep on speaking. Allow yourself the breath, the thought space, and allow your audience to receive your message. And last but not least, it's such a simple tip. And of course, there are so many, but just to give 3 to kick off about communication techniques and skills is practice. Such a simple technique, but are you doing it? Are you taking that time to practice? I used to practice over and over and over and over and over and over. I could do the whole interview just on repetition of that, but I used to speak over and over again, have posters around the walls with ideas or tips or structure for my talks. I used to go on walks with the dogs and speak to the cows. I'd practice with mentors. I'd practice with communities, etc., etc. But taking the time to practice what you are mastering, not only does it support your confidence, not only does it support you in becoming a more confident and compelling speaker, it absolutely supports you in being able to be present and in the moment. When you know your content and you're confident in what you're doing, you're better able to adapt to the people that you are speaking to. When you're up in your head, wondering what if, and you don't have that muscle memory of repetition from your practice, then you're more likely to make the mistakes. And that's okay too, right? We make mistakes, we progress, we learn. But when you practice, you're better prepared, you're more confident, and you're much more able to show up and deliver. So those are 3 tips around communication tips, Lily.
Thank you. And how do you go from self-doubt to confident and relaxed on stage?
Again, big question, and my natural fiery warrior part of me is coming out and say you experience a fire walk. You know, when you go through that fire, when you do a fire walk, it's like the feel the fear of the fire, walk the fire. For me, it's that feel the fear of the stage, feel the self-doubt. Don't try to fight it, right? I'm sure many of your listeners, viewers, community have heard that expression. What you resist persists. Let me say that again because I made a mistake there. What you resist persists. So don't try and fight that fear. Don't try and fight that self-doubt. Don't try and force it away from you. Allow it. You're human. It's okay to feel that way. But then choose what you're going to do next. Earlier on, I was speaking about self-talk. That's completely relevant here. Choose how you are going to respond in that moment to your fear. There were 2 singers that came and auditioned, and it was in New York. It was on the Broadway stage, and it was 4 judges were watching them that were allowing them the opportunity to go on stage and start touring with a music festival. One was a man, one was a woman. And there's no relevance to gender here. It just happened to be a man and a woman. And both of them, before they went on stage, felt that heartbeat racing, that moment of what you just asked, the self-doubt. Can I do this? Will I be enough? Am I able to perform on stage? And both of them physically and mentally were having the same reaction. But the difference between them was one chose their response and one reacted to the self-doubt. So when you feel that self-doubt, it's about allowing it and knowing that it's normal. And instead of being in this particular situation, women are very courageous and strong, but in this particular situation, the woman allowed her fear to get the better of her. She allowed the self-doubt to take her out, right? So if we take that breath and we choose our response, in this situation, the male, he chose his response. I feel the fear. It's okay. I can hear my nervous voice speaking doubt. And that's okay. I'm going to come out of my head and into my heart. Instead of focusing on me and what could go wrong, I'm going to focus on my audience and what could go right. I'm going to focus on how I can help, how I can serve, how I can benefit. In the case of a performer, how I can entertain and give them the most phenomenal, wonderful, amazing feeling during this performance. And because he chose fear, stood up, did that performance, he was actually selected to start touring. And you know who that singer was? Bon Jovi. So do we choose to let self-doubt win, or do we choose to feel the fear and speak up anyway?
Very interesting. I tell you what happened to me. I was speaking at an event, and it was a bit nerve-wracking just because I didn't know who was going to speak, and I was handed this little bunch of notes about who everyone was, and I had to introduce them to the stage. And of course, it's very important that you pronounce everyone's name correctly, and that that you say the right stuff and so on. And some of them had given a very long bio. I couldn't read the entire bio, had to select through. And I remember that, I felt a bit of nerves, and I still managed to, smile and do the presentation. But there was one guy there, and he was due to speak. And 5 minutes before speaking, he was like, I cannot speak. Oh my God, I cannot speak. Right? So what my partner Harry and I got him to do was to jump. Okay. And because he jumped up and down 10 times, he started to calm down, and he started to get into this kind of frame of mind where he was now willing to speak. Because 5 minutes earlier, he was like, oh my God, I cannot speak. I really cannot speak. I really cannot speak, right? And you know what happens when you get into this frame of mind of you cannot speak? You kind of down this spiral where you really are taking yourself, like you said, you're reacting. you're reacting to fear in a negative way, you're not controlling that. So what would you have done differently, for example, or better to control the situation so that this guy did, would go to speak? He did actually eventually go to speak through the jumping technique. Was there anything else that you would have done differently or better, or to kind of get someone like that is very fearful of speaking to speak maybe for the first time?
Absolutely. And I love what you and Harry did in the moment. And I'm not surprised that you had a wonderfully playful and fun response that really also supported and benefited the situation. I think there's many, many things that we can do, and there's many different ways of doing them. There's a deep breath, there's a meditation, there's changing our focus. As amazing as our minds are, we cannot focus on both a positive or a negative, fear or empowerment at the same time. It's not possible. So when we change our focus, that allows us to come out of our heads, out of that space of fear, and into our hearts, into more of a grounded space of love. But also in particular reference to that shifting of focus, that in its essence is what you guys did. You gave him a very quick, very easy state change. You changed his focus, and even more than that, you changed his physiology. You got him moving, you got him jumping up and down, you got him thinking about something else. No doubt, especially with you and Harry there was probably humor, there was probably laughter. And of course, laughter is one of the best and most powerful ways that we can open up our heart and come out of a space of fear into our hearts. So I probably would have done something very, very similar. I love being able to make a joke. I love asking a question that they don't expect, that comes out of nowhere, that's completely out the blue, that makes you just pause and go, what? Did they just say that? And it's nothing to do with speaking. It's nothing to do with that moment. But again, like I just referred to, it's that pattern interrupt, that state change, and then come in with the supportive, empowering. Not necessarily, I think it's very easy to slip into that. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And for some people that works, for others, it's even more frightening and overwhelming. So it's about being able to breathe into the space of it's about being able to breathe into the space of where they are and give them what they need, not project what you think they need, but actually listen and be able to be what they need in that moment.
Thank you. And what about helping a perfectionist person, entrepreneur, to speak? Because, for example, for a long time, I was, and I still am, a perfectionist entrepreneur. And I remember the very first time I wanted to organize my first event, I think I rehearsed more than 100 times, and I have the video clips for every single one of those. And I'm looking at that, it's very similar. And I'm thinking now, I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, oh, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought. But I remember every single one of them, I was like, like inside, I felt like I was going to choke. Okay. And the other thing is, like, when you are a perfectionist, you could actually be very good, but you could just think to yourself that you're not. And because you're thinking that, everyone's perception will be on you, and you're going to be like, not because you're really bad, but because your perception is leading you to look stressed. And because you look stressed, everyone else feels stressed, and you're taking this up on the world. And so how would you help a stressed perfectionist to be confident on stage and to connect in a genuine, heart-centered way with the audience?
Hi, my name is Harriet. Previously diagnosed stressed perfectionist. I think first of all, and complete cliche, but let's just go there and say it like it is. It's not about the quote being cliche, it's about how do you use it in your everyday life. And perfection just simply does not exist. Like, even if you come out with something that you think, feel, and know is like, wow, I'm so proud of this, this is absolutely awesome, you go through it, there'll still always be something that you can look back and improve, something that you can change. Even if you think, yes, thank you very much, I'm super happy with that, if you reflect on it in a week's time, in a month's time, there'll be something that you feel that you can improve, and that's okay. We're human beings. We're here to evolve. We're here to expand. There isn't a space of perfection. When Usain Bolt won the gold medal, broke world records, do you think he just got off the track and was like, that's it, I'm done? No, he went back and trained again. He went back and looked how he could improve and then continued to break records. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to be doing it at this level, but in your own way, in your own space, don't allow perfectionism to actually cause you to just continually procrastinate. I always think, and I always say, progress over perfection, progress over perfection. Have a high standard, but allow yourself to continuously grow, evolve, and expand. And just to add to that, especially when it comes to speaking, I remember walking off stage and beating myself up so much, like, oh my God, I didn't say that, I forgot to say this person looked at me when I said this, was it wrong, what are they thinking, like all of these thoughts. Basically, I was just beating myself up when I came off stage. And I think one of the ways in which supporting, Lily, it's no surprise that you were doing 100 reps before you were speaking. You're committed, you want to master the skill, and you're supporting others to do the same. You speak around the world. That's no surprise. When we put the reps in, we're much more likely to get those results. But it's remembering again that that's a journey. And there's always progression within that. So now I think it's coming into a space of honest reflection rather than beating yourself up. I've completely let go of, I didn't say this, I didn't say that, because guess what? The audience don't know what you were going to say. They've received what you've said. Yes? So stop beating yourself up and just think, how can I improve next time? And for me now, it's become an honest space of reflection. There are times when I walk off stage, and Lily, I know that you'll know this feeling, and you just think, yes, I rocked that. It was total flow. And that's not about your ego and being in the spotlight. That's about like, yes, did you see how many light bulb moments the audience had then? Did you see how many notes they were taking? Oh, it was effortlessly coming through. And I'm so grateful that I was able to deliver to that audience. But there are also times, because of experience, I'm still able to deliver, but I walk off and go, that actually wasn't my best. And it's not beating myself up. It's just an honest reflection of a continuous journey of progression, not perfection, progression, to say, okay, what can you improve? What can you do better next time? Etc., etc. So those are my thoughts on perfectionism.
Thank you so much for these incredible tips. For those of you wanting to connect with Harriet, all you have to do is look below this video. There should be some links how you can connect, follow, and potentially register for Harriet's courses on public speaking, so you can become a confident speaker that creates a world-class movement and makes a massive difference. And Harriet, if you want to tell them where exactly they can connect with you, you're welcome to. Otherwise, check the link below.
Absolutely. HarrietBratt.com or Harriet Bratt across all social media. It's been awesome to be here. And remember to speak up and shine.